All right, let's go ahead and build the projects page. Now, the first thing, we've got the projects page and we actually have all of the pages. So maybe the first thing we want to do is actually connect the links in the navigation. I'm going to double click on the nav bar, select the link, and just go here into the settings to basically pick the pages. So works page is actually projects page, about page should be about page, and contact should be the contact page. And you'll see something weird that the works basically became blue. That is because we've got here another property that is called basically a different state that is called current, which means we can highlight which page we're on in the navigation. Now, basically it said that this is blue. I don't want this to be blue. I actually don't necessarily want this to be visible. So I'm going to repick black, and we're not going to show which page we're on. So we don't have anything unique for the current, but that's it. We're good. So the first thing we have here is an H1 called selected project. So I can go here into my section container and Command E to add H1, and I'm going to paste selected project. I will say though that because we don't have anything in the top, this is a little bit too close to the navigation. So I think that this section, we're going to give it a combo class because we don't have a hero section like we have here that's pushing everything down. Let's just give this a combo class that is called top section, because if this is just the first section, we need a little bit of space from the top so it doesn't touch the logo. And we're probably going to use this in the contact page again. So let's create a combo class for this section. Let's call this top section, top section. And if this is the top section, let's add a little bit padding from the top. Maybe 60 sounds good to me. Okay, so this is great. And next, we want to have the list of the project. So we already saw how to do this. We can just go ahead and add a collection list. Collection list. We can pick the projects, and we've got the list of projects. Only now we need to style them a little bit differently. So basically what we have here is we just have an image in this basically fixed size. And when you hover on top of it with the mouse, you get this additional information, the commercial tag and this icon that we have here and the name of the project. So let's go ahead and do this. By the way, we're likely going to need to upload this arrow here. So we can go here and upload the arrow from our projects page or homepage. Where is the arrow? Yeah, this is the arrow. Oh, we actually have this arrow here. Sorry, so we already have it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start styling this. I'm going to add a class to this collection item just so that we can refer to it. I'm going to call this projects page card, I guess I can call it. And inside, the first thing I want to bring in is an image. So I'm going to Command E, bring an image. And as we saw, I'm going to connect this image to the featured image. So this is great. Only these images are way too tall. And in this case, we want to limit them. So let's give this a class. We're going to call this project page image. And what I want to do is I want to set a maximum height of 600 pixels to these images, but I actually want the width to be 100%. I want it to force to the whole width, but just 600 pixels width. Obviously, this is too stretched. This is not what we want. So let's open up the more sizing option and I'm going to set this from fill to cover. We've already mentioned that cover basically tries to crop it in the center. For most of them, it looks good. Maybe for this cover image, it doesn't look fantastic. Maybe we need to pick up a different cover image for this project. But for now, let's continue with it. And that's it. Do we have anything else we need to do? Probably a little bit of space from the top and bottom and around corners. So to the project image, I'm going to add by holding Option space. Let's do 24, which was always our spacing. Actually, if I add 24 from both top and down, there's actually going to be double spacing here. So let's turn this into 12. And now we've got 24 pixels between them and reapply round corners here. Fantastic. So we've got this. The next thing we want to do is to add the project name. And when I'll do that, I'm going to hit Command E. This is going to be in H2. And for this H2, we're going to bring in the project name. So this is great. However, now we're seeing the problem. Hey, we need this to be on top of the image and not below the image. And so if you'll remember the last video, what we want to do is we want to make projects page card relative so that we can make this whole different content that we have here absolute relative to it. So by selecting project page card, I'm going to go to position and change from static to relative. Looks like nothing is happening, but that's good. Now this heading here, we basically don't just need a heading. We'll need this background color here. We're going to need this commercial tag. So we've got a bunch of stuff. So let's wrap it so that we have this whole overlay on top of the card. So I'm going to right click on this heading and I'm going to wrap it in a div block. And I'm going to call this project page overlay. So now we've got the overlay, and this overlay, we want it to be absolute positioned relative to its parent, which is the project page card. And let's go ahead and change the position to absolute. And now you can see that, first of all, it's not taking up space. Immediately you see, and it looks like it's gone. And I can click top here, and now you can see that it is aligned to the top of the card, or I can do here bottom left, bottom right. And you can even see here that this is relative to the project page card. Now I just want to demo you what would happen if we didn't set the parent element to relative. If we remove this, and by the way, every time you have a blue property here, meaning you defined it, you can click it and then reset it. Meaning if this is back to static, hey, where's the project gone? Well, the project overlay is now relative to the body. So it is being fixed to the top of the body, right? So again, remember, very important. Every time you want it to be relative to its parent element, you need to select the parent element and then turn it into relative. Now we can make it relative to this. And basically what we want it to be is to actually, let's take the project overlay. We want it to fill up the whole space, take up the whole space, because we're going to have things at the top, at the bottom. And let's start actually aligning this. Let's turn this into a flex. So let's go here and turn the overlay into a flex. We can now align the text to the bottom. We can also give this a little bit of padding from all sides. So I'm going to hold Option Shift, give it a little bit of padding, maybe like 35 maybe. I also want to give this some kind of a gradient. So this is a good introduction. We didn't work with really background colors yet, but I'm going to scroll down all the way to backgrounds, and I'm going to add a gradient. So I'm going to hit the plus. I'm going to switch here to a gradient. We've got black and white, and I can actually switch this around by tapping this rotate, rotate, rotate multiple times until we get from black to white. And I can just edit this and, hey, not black to white, but actually black to transparent, which is really what we want. Can even bring this down so that the gradient is just at this point, which is nice. And now we can go ahead and style this. Actually, you know what? If I set on the page overlay div, if I set the text color to white, then everything inside of it is going to, inherit it. So that's going to work. By the way, we've got something that's breaking all of a sudden. Once we've added this gradient, you can see it's not getting the round corners. And we'll see in a minute how to tackle this. But for now, let's bring in the other things that we have here. We've got the commercial tag, and we've got this icon here. And right now, I understand what I forgot. I forgot that this whole project actually needs to be a link, because we need to click this so that we'll get into the project. And we didn't create a link block. Actually, this whole thing needs to be clickable. So let's do this right now. I cannot turn the collection list itself into a link. The only thing I can do is add inside a link block. And then I'll need to move these, inside of the project card, I'll need to add link block. And I'll need to nest everything that we created inside of this. And actually, so let's do this right now because I forgot to do it. Let's add this, the image, and the overlay. But our whole styling is now messed up because we now have something nested inside of the project card. So let's remove the styling, the project page card styling from this element and just move it here. Project page card. Okay. So the only thing we need to do is make sure that this is 100% width. Okay. I think now we're at a better spot. We don't have any styling on the collection item itself. Inside of it, we've added a link block so that this whole element is going to be clickable. We also probably want to change and make sure that we don't have text underlined. So I'm going to set text decoration to none. And now if I preview this, okay, this whole thing is linkable. Very important, right? Because we want this to link to the specific project, right? So note, I've selected the link block setting, went into the page and select the current project, just like we did in the homepage button. Okay, so we've got this. Now inside of the overlay, let's bring in the category. So for this, I'm just going to bring in a text block. And this text block, let's pull in the category. So this is editorial. And let's style this, first of all. So how is this styled? It's got a background color and round corners. And what is this? So it's basically a regular text. It just has this peel thing. So let's give this a class. Let's call this project category. And what we can do is give it a little bit of padding from all sides. 9 pixels sounds good. Give this black but reduce transparency, the background, to about 50. So it's kind of like transparent, difficult to see right here. And go down to the corner radius and hit 999 just so that it's as round as possible. Okay, I think it looks good. I'm going to give it a little bit more padding from left and right. but obviously the layout doesn't work. Now, looking at the layout again, we do have 2 elements at the top and then 1 element at the bottom. So we've already seen how to do it when we did it here, 2 elements at the top, 1 at the bottom. Basically going to mean that I'm going to group these 2 elements, wrap them in a div, and then this is going to be, and then the flex is going to create space between them. So let's actually wrap this in a div. I'm going to click wrap in a div block, and I'm going to call this, let's say, project card. How do I call this? Project card information? Maybe tags, I guess we can call this. And I'm going to go back into the page overlay. Right now, this is a flex that is directionally left and right and aligning to the bottom. This is now not what we want. We actually want top and bottom, and we want them actually to be maybe stretching, both of them, and then space between. But we want the project tags to be on top and the title at the back. And here, inside of this project card, we're going to need to add another item, which is this arrow. So let's add the image here. It's going to Command E to add an image. Select the little arrow that we have here. And let's give this a tag. Let's call it project arrow icon. Similar actually to what we did here. We're going to give this a little bit of padding. We're going to give this background color. Don't remember the properties that I set there for the background, but it was probably black at around 50 or something like this of opacity. Of course, we can create, by the way, variables if we want to be consistent. Probably the right thing to do. I'm going to hit 999 for corner radius. And I think this looks good. The only thing I want to do is in the project card tag wrapper, I'm going to change that into a flex box so that I can align them left and right. So I'm going to do that. And direction left to right, this is good, but not left aligned, but space between. All right. So now I've got one flex that is space between left and right, one flex that is space between top and bottom, and basically I got the layout that I want. The only thing that we don't have here is, why are these round corners not working? Well, the reason is, on the project page card, we've created round corners, right? Where are the round corners actually? Or they're actually applied on the image itself, right? So the image itself has round corners, but on top of it, there is the project overlay that doesn't have it. So the linear gradient actually doesn't have round corners. So I think what we're going to do is going to force the round corners here on the top element. Let's go ahead and do round corners. Let's just pick them, or we can reapply them here, or we can just pick them. Oh, we didn't create a variable, so let's do round corners. And we applied round corners, but it's still not showing round corners at the bottom. And this is really interesting to understand something new. So we have a property that is called, and where is it? We've got it here, overflow hidden, which is basically means, hey, what happens when content is going outside of the area of the object, right? So in this case, we have the gradient inside and it's going outside of where we're supposed to have this round corners. And you can see here that right now this is set to overflow show, meaning if things go outside of the bounds of the parent element, we're still seeing them. But if we're going to hit overflow hidden here, then you're going to see that these are getting cropped. This is basically a way to mask the inside of an element and make sure that we're only seeing the what's inside of the element. So this is how we mask things. And this is really, really important. A lot of times you will have elements that are going out because you will want to create like things that are moving or things that are outside of the bounds. And sometimes you don't want to see them. The way to mask them is to make sure that the parent element has overflow hidden. So this was a little bit of a glimpse to an advanced property that we'll be using a lot. Okay, last thing I want to do, I actually want to create the hover effect, right? So what I want to do is I want to select the overlay itself and go down here into the opacity, remove the opacity so that it's invisible. But when we are on top of it, bring back the opacity, okay, to 100. Now we can go back here and we can create a zin like we did previously with the hover effect. For the opacity property, let's set it to 300 milliseconds. And let's preview this. So this is really cool. As we're hovering on top of it, we can see that we've got the element changing. I do see one interesting thing here is that the gradient takes up more space than the actual image. It's actually going outside of the bounds. And I think I know why this happens is because you can see when I'm clicking on the project card, it's actually bigger than the image. I actually defined the height of the image as 600, but the project, I didn't define how big the project link is, so it's actually a little bit bigger. So let's define the height of the link block itself as 600. Now you see that the link block and the image are the same size, and now it looks perfect. That being said, although it looks perfect, I realize that I've made a mistake, and it's a very common mistake that you're very likely to do as well. So let's go ahead and fix that. Here's the mistake that I did. Notice that when I added the height, the fixed height, 600 pixels to the card project page, I've actually edited on the combo class of round corner. So from now on, every time I use round corner, it's going to add the height 600 pixels, and that's not what I wanted. So let me go ahead and reverse that. I'm going to click this and reset. Now we have the same problem. Now, instead of adding the 600 right here on this combo class of round corners, I'm going to click the selector and make sure that I select project page card. This is the card. This is the class where I wanted to add 600 pixels. And that's it. Now, the problem is solved, but you can see when I'm clicking this, the project card, the class of the 600 pixels height is orange. Why? Because it's not set on the round corner. It's actually, the value comes from project page card. And this is what I wanted to do. Now, again, this is a very common mistake. You might actually see me make this mistake again in the course because it's so common. When you're changing a class that has a combo class and you don't actually want to edit the combo class, you want to make sure that you're editing the original class. So you use this inheriting selector to make sure that you pick up the right class that you want to edit it, and not make a change to the combo class, especially if it's a utility class that you want to use in a lot of other places. All right, with that, I think that we are done here and we can continue to the next video.